Hello, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a rainbow buttercream tutorial. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and I can't wait to get to making more for you. Before I start making my buttercream, I'm going to whisk my butter on a low speed for about 3 minutes. Because I'm using a vegan spread, it's generally very soft anyway, so I don't need to leave it to soften for long out the fridge before I start working with it. If you are using a harder butter, you may want to leave it out the fridge for a short while before you begin making your buttercream. Just makes it easier to work with and you'll end up with a much smoother buttercream. You'll see that when you've done this, you'll end up with a really soft, fluffy, whipped butter, and it's perfect to start adding your icing sugar to. I'm using a KitchenAid here, but any mixer will do just fine. If you're using a handheld mixer, that's no problem. Just leave it on the lowest speed that you have and whip the butter the same way. As I mentioned earlier, vegan butter is generally a lot softer than dairy butter. So when I'm making my buttercream, I would generally use a ratio of 1 to 2 to 2.5. So as an example, if I'm using 100 grams of butter, I would use between 200 and 250 grams-ish of icing sugar. However, this will depend on what flavourings and colourings you're adding to the mixture, as this will affect the consistency. Here is my finished buttercream. You can see it forms stiff peaks around the edge and it has that beautiful whipped texture. You don't want your buttercream to be losing its shape on your cupcake. You still want it to set, but you don't want it to be crusty. Nobody wants a crusty cupcake. Divide your buttercream into the amount of bowls as you want colours. I've decided to do 5 colours today, so I've split my buttercream as evenly as I can into 5 bowls. Don't worry about it being super perfect, it won't make that much difference in the long run, but just try and get by eye as close as you can to them being even. I'm using here Rainbow Dust Pro Gel colours. I would always recommend using gel colours as they're a lot thicker and they won't affect the consistency of your buttercream as much. They're also super pigmented, so you only need a small amount. Just add in the tiniest blob to begin with. Don't add in loads of colour, because it's extremely difficult to lighten it, but you can always add more. I want my cupcakes to have a pastel-y effect, so I'm adding very small amounts. Once you've added in your colour, then just simply stir. I just do it with a teaspoon until it's fully combined and you end up with a beautifully coloured buttercream. Repeat this with as many colours as you're using. Now for the next stage. So we've got 5 bowls with 5 separate colours, but we want to combine them into a smooth rainbow gradient on top of our cupcakes. There's lots of ways that you can do this, however the way that I find works best is by spreading out some cling film on your worktop. Is it just me, or does anyone else find touching cling film really stressful? It just sticks to everything that I don't want it to stick to. So to add your colours, you can fill each one into a piping bag and pipe super straight lines to form a rainbow. However, whilst this does look nice in the cling film, it just seems like such a waste of piping bags to me. I've always just done it with 2 spoons and spread it out into a really similar shape. It might not look as pretty on the cling film as the perfect stripes, however I promise when you start piping they will all be even and it won't make any difference, but you will be 5 piping bags better off. Spread a thin layer of each colour going across your cling film horizontally. It can be a little bit fiddly spreading them out first, but have patience, it does get easier. And don't worry if some of your stripes are a bit of an odd shape or they're a bit uneven. This won't matter on the finished result. I find this next bit so satisfying. So you're going to grab the corners. As you can see, I'm just having a bit of difficulty getting my cling film. Oh, she's got it. Pull them back towards you, folding them over your buttercream and rolling it into a loose sausage shape. You'll end up with a multicoloured sausage-like thing. Simply twist the ends just to stop any excess leaking out. You don't want any seepage. Next, I'm just going to snip off the end so that one end can go into my piping bag and then be piped onto my cake. For these particular cupcakes, I'm using my favourite nozzle, which is a GEM or a JEM 2J. Next, you're going to slide in your buttercream sausage. Just open up your piping bag and gently push it down. Then simply twist and make sure that you can see your colours at the end. It's a good idea to do a test just to make sure that all the colours are coming out just as you want them. Here, I've just used a bowl that we were using earlier for colouring. I got so nervous filming this part. I've never piped on camera before and it's very frightening. Well, my hand's in front of the first one, which is great, so I'll start explaining when we get to the second one. So while squeezing your piping bag evenly, you're going to push down and then do a swirl anti-clockwise, still while pressing down and maintaining an even pressure. Think of yourself as spreading out the middle blob and then doing a smooth arc all the way round. Probably the worst description ever, but it's actually really hard to describe how to do this. When it comes round to finishing, you want to keep it smooth. Don't suddenly pull up or jerk on your piping bag, as this will result in a bit of a sloppy finish. Of course, you can do more than 5 colours or you can do less. You can even just use 2 and get a really nice soft gradient on your cupcake. Then you can just top them with whatever you fancy. I've chosen to add some sprinkles to these ones just because I think the colours went really nicely together.